My name is Andor Háznagy. I'm working for BKK Center for Budapest Transport. My technical issues was I finalized my presentation with some issue about the Budapest, and somebody happened and I can transfer it. So basically, BKK is the mobility manager of the Budapest. He is responsible for every transport mode, public transport and road design, bicycle design, and so on. And Budapest is the capital city of Hungary. Is a economical transportation and knowledge center of not just the country but also the regional level. So now I would like to present the more corridor. As the former presentation said, we started the starting point at our highway. And this road goes through to the city center. It's built in the 70s, so now it's really car-oriented with several lanes, great separated intersections, and so on. So it's not so people-friendly output. You can see in the outer part there are big commercial centers and so on, and you can go to the downtown without any restriction or banning the traffic. So if you go to the western part of the country to the eastern part, we have a motorway bypass, you can see here, but most of the traveler give you this way. Let's go to the city center, which is not so good. This specific road we have analyzed is called Rákóczi Road. It's middle of the street. You can see it's a downtown of the Budapest. You can see old pictures. Now it's look like in the 100 years ago. It's built for people, for trams, pedestrians. But in the 70s, everything is changed. It was full of cars, you can see it. And we have some changes in the last 10 years. For instance, in a Ferenciek Square, which we made give more space for pedestrians, but we have a lot of work, you can see here. That's one of the several plans already existing about what can we do about the process, about the section. You can see some pictures how it's look like. As you can see, Ferenciek Square is okay, but other part of the road is mainly for car traffic. You can see 2 lanes in each direction and 1 bus lanes. The place for pedestrians is really small and narrow, and there's no place for street activities and so on. So this place is in the middle of the city, but it's not for the local people or the tourist ones. So when we joined to the project, we are thinking about that we can use the project tools and see what happened. So, as the earlier presentation mentioned, that it was a whole project. We started to identify basic data of road space allocations, especially the co-19 national guidelines on road design standards and so on. And we have several meetings with stakeholders. One of them met by Charlotte from Sciences to identify who's the stakeholders on the road process and what is the political and aspect and other experts of this part. So, and identify the main barriers. Next to that, we analyze what strategies we have, the documents. You can see the the 2 main city-level strategies for how to develop the city in a better way, to get a green environment and so on. Like Brussels presentation in the morning, we want that, and we have of course strategies. And next to that, we have a Budapest mobility plan with a sustainable urban mobility plan of the city. It contains different objectives and KPIs how to reach the city in the next 10 years, just the higher level. And next to that, we have already exist document on the area. And last but not least, we have a macroscopic transport model for with Visum, which is really useful for not just everyday decision making, but in the long term also, because it contains the traffic, the public transport, and so on and everything. So we can use this strategy for this model for calculating what happened if we build one road. So next to that, we're starting to familiarize with the sections. We can get a local stakeholders, we're collecting them, and after that we analyze the cross-section of the street. As I mentioned earlier, there were several lanes, and so there's several lanes, and almost the whole cross-section for the cars, and it's not good. And so we made very detailed traffic count with several intersections for vehicle types. We also count in the pedestrians, in pedestrian crossing and entry points and the underpasses, and the public space activity also survived. And after that, this section has a very massive public transport lines. In the morning section, almost every day is going to one articulated buses with full of passengers, so approximately 20,000 passengers on one day. So it's really dense public transport traffic. Next to that, we use the TrafWeb tool for getting infos from our stakeholder, our local people, what their opinion about the streets, what their problems, and what can be the solution for these problems. So we have some general outcomes that traffic calming and reducing lane is important, and taking installing more pedestrian crossings and so on, and planting more trees. Yeah, just one several one. And now you can see what the outputs of it. We managed this survey, the whole Rákóczi Road, not just the intersection of the street. Yeah, is it working? I don't know. So you can see where the people think about changes something. Next to that, we organized design days with blocks and acetates. It was really useful. It was a very holistic approach. We invited the several mayor's office, companies, and so on. So not just the BKK, who's the mobility manager of Budapest, but also the chief architect, the chief landscape architect, the Budapest Horticulture Ltd, the Budapest Transport Ltd, one of the main public transport providers in the city, and the road space maintenance company, the Budapest Public Roads also. And you can see some pictures to use these tools. It was really cool. And before we use this tool, we have several the long-term meeting that which have, because before we use this tool, we want to get to everybody get familiar with this section. Once they what is they know about it, what they are thinking about it, what is the possibilities and opportunities, and in the current condition and the future conditions also. So you can see in the left bottom that now people think that it is an old man who is living alone, and it can be a really fresh family with young children, so maybe in the next years. Next to that, we're refining our outputs from the design days with using the traffic consultation results and the more policy intervention tool and road design tools also. And next to that, when we got everything, we have several consultation, our expertise of road designers, our putting our results to the existing strategies for parking, taxi, micromobility, city logistics also, and that was one of the main outcomes, that we have to put a bicycle lane, and that was a question, where can we put the bicycle lane precisely, especially when there's a public transport stop, that where can we put it on the network. So based on these results, we finalized them, and we've got next to the current option, 3 different versions for the current situations, 1 and 2 years ahead, and in the future conditions also. There's the details. I don't want to read them. I will show them the results for it. You can see the short-term outputs in the app. You can see how the roads look like now. You can see in the blue color that where we put new pedestrian crossings, in the green areas where we put some additional areas with for trees, parklets, and so on, and with the gray where we use some space for micromobility points, parking, city logistic points, and so on. That and the outcomes was in the urbanistic approach and the transport approach, and that approach is reducing lanes, traffic lanes for cars in two lanes, 1 lane instead of 2 lanes, and we keep the the curb in these variants. And in the future outputs, that the layouts are similar, but we put public transport lanes in the middle of the streets, and because of this we have to change the curbside, the places of the public transport stops, and so on. But basically that's the tube, the section. Our results didn't have main differences between them. There's Elizabeth Bridge. The new bridge is part of this section. The bridgehead and the traffic management was some changes. Next to that, you can see some modeling results from VSIM simulation. We used traffic data from traffic counting, from macroscopic models, and we refined them. We have some perceptions about pedestrians and so on, and we've got these data. You can see that the numbers and what the numbers mean. That's when we analyzed the future conditions with our microscopic models, we changed the numbers of the lanes, like what is at the scenarios, and we modeled them, that it caused a lot of traffic jams based on the models and so on. So, but we've got more space for cyclists and public transport and pedestrians also. And I've got some main messages at the end of my presentation. Next to the listening to the views of the local residents and experts, identifying stakeholders, and using this very useful more toolkits, it's really important to think the unthinkable. I mean, COVID-19 have some issue at the projects, and if you want to get a really detailed results, you have to work a lot of it. So that was my presentation. I'm sorry about the technical issues.